Okay, first up, looks like Johnson versus Bradshaw. Let me see who's here. Brianna Bradshaw, or Johnson rather, who I just let in. I'm hoping that's who Brianna is.
Yeah.
And, okay, you're Brianna Bradshaw? I'm sorry, Johnson? All right, and Mr. Bradshaw, I don't see his name in here, but I see a couple phones that aren't identified, so let me find out who they are. Ma'am, can you tell if that's Mr. Bradshaw?
Is.
It is? All right, your voice is not coming through. Can you turn your volume up maybe?
Is that better?
Yes, much
Okay.
better.
Yes, that is Mr. Bradshaw.
Okay,
I'm here.
Mr. Bradshaw, you can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so we're here on parenting time complaints. Looks like quite a few.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Bradshaw had filed a parenting time complaint stating denial since August 14th, 2020, and it should be noted that he's the custodial parent.
Okay, so according to this first parenting time complaint, Mr. Bradshaw, at some point the children must have been moved from your care to Ms. Johnson's care as a result of a CPS case?
Well, she already had them, and they put in a safety plan for me to not get the kids until they did the investigation.
All right, and what came of that investigation?
They lifted the safety plan on August 8th for the kids to be returned.
They lifted the safety plan.
Yes.
Okay, and do all of your complaints relate to after the safety plan was lifted?
Correct.
Okay, ma'am, do you acknowledge that the safety plan was lifted?
Yes, but what was found in the investigation was that his live-in girlfriend was charged with child abuse. So I did not feel comfortable or safe taking my kids back into her care or his residence.
If they lifted the safety plan, ma'am, you don't have any legal justification for not returning the children to Mr. Bradshaw. You certainly have the ability to file a motion for change of custody, but absent a change in a custody order, now that that safety plan is listed, these children need to be returned to their father.
Right. The children do have a current PPO against the girlfriend, and our personal protection order against the girlfriend after I found out about the child abuse, and I don't feel comfortable.
I need to see that file, but if there indeed is a valid personal protection order in place, she would not be permitted to be in the children's presence. But
Okay.
I don't have any PPO files in front of me. Sir, are you aware of any personal protection orders?
Just her against my girlfriend that was thrown out this morning.
That was the one that that got rid of this morning, but there is a second PPO.
Ah, okay. I didn't realize. I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't recognize you.
That's okay. We see a lot of people. I understand.
So there's, okay.
There is a
Let
second.
me see if I can pull that up.
Okay.
Let me see if I can pull that up. That was a PPO on behalf of which child?
all three of my children were supposed to be in the PPO. The way that the county's clerk's office advised me to fill out the paperwork may have not been right, which is what I understood this morning from what you said. But because my 12-year-old daughter had just had a birthday, she said she couldn't be by herself on a PPO, which is why she was combined with mine as ex parte, I think is what they called it. But all
Well,
three
I
of
had
them
to
were
dismiss,
together.
I had to dismiss that PPO, but I don't know about another one.
Okay.
Who's the, well, maybe I could pull it up under Mr., what's the, Mr. Bradshaw, what's your girlfriend's name?
Yanessa Lewis.
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna remember how to spell that. It was an unusual spelling. Could you spell it for me?
Yes, Yinessa.
Let me see if I can find something. I can't deal with the PPO unless it's in front of me, but let me see.
I know the prosecuting
says.
attorney's office sent me the file or the paperwork too, showing that she had been charged with the child abuse.
Shannon, I don't know what I did with today's docket sheet. Do you have it handy? Which
No, I
PPO,
can print it.
just which PPO number did I hear this morning?
You heard 22467PH, and that was Johnson versus Eubanks.
2467?
2467PH.
Okay, so I see a 2466. That's got to be the other one. Let me see if I can figure out what it says. This is by Samari against Yanessa.
That's what I was confused about earlier because I was told that the one that I had to fill out for myself were supposed to include my two other minor children. As well
I
as-
tried to explain that to you this morning, ma'am. I'm going to wait. I'm going to make one more attempt.
No, I do understand now. I was explaining that was my confusion earlier.
I got you. Okay. So this PPO is still in place. And until it's lifted, Ms. Eubanks is not permitted to be in the presence of Samari. And is Samari one of the minor children that's part of this custody order?
Yes, she is.
Yes, and just to note, my girlfriend, to her understanding, when she was contesting against both PPOs, the way that it was written, she thought that she was going to court for both of them, for her and for the kids.
All right, I can't possibly begin to explain away that confusion. I can only tell you this PPO for Samari against Yanessa is still in place. Okay. Until it is set aside, it prohibits Yanessa from being in the presence of Samari. Okay, that would mean if Samari came to your home, Yanessa would have to leave before she gets there and could not return until Samari leaves.
Okay. And do we still have time to contest for that PPO?
Uh, I, I'm trying to see when it was served. It was served, well, the return of service was on September 3rd. Technically, you're beyond the time period. I understand the confusion. I would certainly consider a motion to set it aside on the merits. I can understand why there was some confusion there, but until that happens, that PPO remains in place. And if she were to be found in the presence of Samari, she would be subject to immediate arrest.
Okay.
I assume she resides in your home, is that correct, sir?
Yes.
I mean, there's a couple of possibilities here until, as long as that PPO remains in place, the only way that that this child, Samari, could have visits at your home or could remain at your home as if Yanessa's not there.
Okay.
Now, one possibility while we're waiting on that is she could simply not come when the other girls come until you get that matter resolved, or you'd have to make arrangements for Ms. Eubanks to be gone from the home whenever Samari's there. What's your pleasure?
I'll take the other two children until the matter is resolved.
All right.
And I'm not okay with that.
Well, ma'am, I'm going to order that you return those two children to their father.
The
If you
youngest-
don't,
I'm sorry,
ma'am,
excuse me. Can I say something?
Well, let me finish what I'm saying.
Okay.
There's a custody order in place that requires those children to be with their father. Until you file a motion to change that, you're in violation of the order. When you're in violation of an order of the court, unless I find good justification for the violation, you're subject to being held in contempt of court. So for as long as you violate that, now as to the child Samari, there's justification because of the PPO. As to the other two, from this point forward, given that the safety plan's been lifted, until you get an order modifying the custody order, they need to be at their father's.
Okay, I do have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
My youngest son is the one who, his live-in girlfriend is the one who's abusing, who you're asking me to take and return back to his father. I don't think that mentally he could handle that right now. He's terrified to go back to his dad's house. He's terrified of the girlfriend. If I literally call them in here right now and let them know that they have to go back to their dad's house, you will hear the temper tantrum. They do not want to go. They're terrified. And I understood this morning that you dropped the PPO, and I'm not trying to get you to reinstate that one at all. I'm trying to understand what paperwork I need to file that protects my two youngest children as well, because they were the ones that were most recently being abused.
File a motion to change custody.
Okay, and I did get that paper from the friend of the court. I don't have a court date or anything. They said it takes 2 to 3 weeks to hear anything.
That's because there are lots of other cases, ma'am.
And I understand that.
The children need to be told they have to go back to their fathers. And sir, I'll simply tell you, I'm assuming you are concerned if your children are indeed afraid of your girlfriend. You have the responsibility to protect your children from whoever is in your household.
Absolutely.
So whatever is causing their fear, when they are returned to you, you need to have a good heart-to-heart conversation with your children, and you need to assure them that they don't need to be afraid of her because you are going to protect them.
Um, yeah, and yeah, absolutely. And Judge LaFlame, I did send you copies of text message of my oldest daughter, her missing us, not just me, but everyone in our household. What Brianna is stating is she's lying. My kids has been with my girlfriend for 3 years. You know, we have a system, we have a structured home. Um, there's more to the story. I ended guardianship with the guardians, and so they contacted Bree, and this is all a stage of the child abuse. I have medical reports of my son with his bruising, that his arm was swollen up. That happened from brute force. She had my kids for 24 hours, and even the text messages that I had between me and Brianna Johnson, she asked me about coming to the hospital. Never, not once did she accuse or say anything about what the kids I stated until after she was at the hospital, and then made her timeline and how she kept
All
the
right,
kids.
so what you're telling me, sir, and I get that, and I don't mean to cut you off, is there's a
Mhm.
lot more to the story.
Yes.
So, and there always is.
Mhm.
That's why we have custody motions and evidentiary hearings, so I get a chance to hear from everybody and make a decision based not on allegations, but by actual live testimony.
Okay.
That's why it works that way.
I do
For
have another
now,
question.
go ahead, ma'am.
Since this court hearing was supposed to be regarding parenting time, are we able to address that at all? I know that he does work Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to, I believe it's 5 p.m. So at those times, my kids will be, what I'm worried about or concerned about, my kids will be left alone with her. And once I let them go back to the home with him, he's not going to return them to me. That's been,
What's the current custody order, parenting time arrangement? Do you have that,
it's
Jen?
been,
It's the order dated February 12th, 2019. I do have a copy. Would you like to see it, Your Honor?
Is that in the stack you gave me?
I don't believe so, but I can give you.
I'm sure it's in the file. Ma'am, what are those terms?
the custody agreement
Yes.
that before it was flexible. It was, we were able to agree with it or agree between each other. But right now he does have full custody. As I think that's
And
the
what is-
February date that,
Right, but is there specific parenting time ordered for you?
no, we never had to establish that. We were always able to understand and agree with that between the two of us. It was never established, which is why nobody's made the kids go either place during this whole thing.
Well, that's not true. The reason why the kids, well, there's
Okay,
no
okay, well,
Oh,
hold on. I see
okay.
that now. Whenever we have an order that says parenting time as agreed between the parties, either party can ask the court for a specific parenting time order.
Okay.
That only happens either by consent. In other words, you agree to what the parenting time schedule is going to be. And if you can't agree, that can only happen with me or the friend of the court referee taking testimony and deciding what's in the best interest of the children. So notwithstanding the fact that there is no specific parenting time ordered, up until CPS involvement, ma'am, what was your practice?
We did it as it was convenient for us. The kids were with his girlfriend while he was at work sometimes because I'm an over-the-road truck driver. I have my CDL. And so at times I am over the road and she is with them. But that's what my concern is now. I'm laid off due to COVID. So I don't understand why my kids can't be home with me versus with her while he's at work. And
Right.
not to
I
mention
understand.
it's their abuser. Like she's already been charged with this.
I understand that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to force you to file a motion because you are entitled to a specific parenting time order. It doesn't sound like the two of you are going to be able to agree on one.
Correct.
So what I'm going to do is just order the friend of the court to conduct an evidentiary hearing concerning custody and parenting time.
Thank
And
you.
we'll get that scheduled just as soon as we can. In the meantime, I expect the order to be followed.
Absolutely.
Obviously, with the oldest child, the PPO's got to be addressed before that can happen. But as to the younger two, you need to follow the order.
Okay. Absolutely.
All right, we'll get a notice out to you just as quickly as they can get something scheduled.
Okay. Thank you.
And how
You're
long does
welcome.
she have? How long does she have to return the other two children?
She's not.
She's going to need a little bit of time to prepare them. Let's say, what's your work hours, sir? When will you be home?
Oh, at 5
Tomorrow.
o'clock. 5 o'clock.
You'll be home by what time tomorrow?
I'll be home probably like 5:10. I clock out at 5.
Okay, so let's say 5:30 tomorrow. I want to make sure you're there when they come.
Okay.
I think that's very important. So
And
I
then
expect them to be.
And then once he leaves for work in the morning, my kids are supposed to stay there with the abuser.
Unless you guys can agree, and that will get addressed at this evidentiary hearing that I'm scheduling. Obviously, the CPS would not have lifted the safety plan if they felt that there was still a risk. And I understand, ma'am, that you have a more heightened risk, but I'm going to trust the judgment of CPS that whatever needed to be addressed got addressed. And I absolutely am going to hold Mr. Bradshaw responsible for the safety of the children. So yes, they need to be returned by 5:30 tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, Kim. To all of this one, right? All right, next up is Spar versus Cook.
Oh, I can hear.
Get everybody in the meeting room here. We're getting some feedback from somebody. Oh, here it is. It's telephone number 786-9. Well, wait a minute. 910-7690. I had to mute that to get rid of the feedback. I don't know who's at that number. Let me try to unmute it and see if we can find out if the feedback is gone.
I disconnected from the phone. I connected with both Zoom and the phone because I was afraid I wouldn't get through. My internet's not
All
really
right,
good.
we solved the problem then, thank you. Okay. Spar versus Cook. We've got some parenting time complaints, I'm assuming by Mr. Cook.
Correct.
The first one is for the weekend of 8/7 to 8/9. The second one, the weekend from 8/21 to 8/23. The third from 9/4 until 9/6. And then there's an attachment. Give me a moment to read that. Okay, and Mr. Schmidt, you represent Ms. Spar?
No.
Okay, I can't. It says Tom Schmidt for Jennifer Spar. That usually tells me that it's an attorney relationship. You're not an attorney?
No.
What do you have to do with this case? You just muted your microphone.
He was
I
just
can't
here
hear
for,
you.
he was just here for support for me, Your Honor.
All right. Oh, ma'am, do you acknowledge that you've been withholding the children from Mr. Cook?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Your Honor, to stay on task, I wrote down what I would like to say to you, and I will try to do it as quickly as possible. So I'll start out with.
I want a short answer first.
Okay.
Why have you been withholding?
Okay. Can I read to you what I've wrote down? Because I'll be able to stay on task. Okay.
Maybe. I want a short answer first.
Okay, the short answer is that we're in the middle of a pandemic. I am concerned about my children's safety. I've done everything that the CDC has required of me to take care of my children. The main concern is my children's endangerment. The main concern is that we've never really gotten to what I keep coming to court for, and that is the real problem has never been addressed. I want the court to know, first and foremost, that Carl is a violent person and that my children are horribly scared of them. I'll stop there and then I'll continue. I have much more to say about that. I'll continue with the coronavirus. I've done everything that the CDC has told me to do.
Right.
And Carl has not.
I've heard it. I've heard enough, ma'am. I expect the parenting time to begin immediately. I expect from the time that Mr. Cook began insisting on his parenting time, which was when, sir? There was a period of time where you say you acknowledge that you tried to honor her.
I let her have him for over 6 months.
Yeah, and you finally said enough is enough. I want my parenting time.
Your Honor,
From the time you said enough is enough, approximately when was that? The time frames that are in here?
Yeah, basically, and there's a fourth one as well. You must not got the fourth one. I just filed last week because you kept them last week as well.
All right, and remind me, what is the schedule supposed to be?
Every other weekend from 6 to 12, 6 o'clock Friday to 12 o'clock noon Sunday. Which is the 8 days that you have overhead right now.
All right,
Your
beginning
Honor,
this weekend, ma'am, I muted you for a reason. I don't want to hear any more. I've heard enough. Beginning this weekend and every weekend until all of the missed times since August 7th is made up.
Your Honor, I did not get a chance to explain to you the real reason.
I don't want to hear any more explanation, ma'am.
I've called the governor's office. They're doing an investigation.
If you speak again, ma'am, I'm just going to remove you from the courtroom. I expect this to be followed. So you missed 4 weekends since you insisted on your time?
Right.
Four weekends shall be made up, so he gets to see the girls every weekend from now until those are made up.
Your Honor, please, I beg you, please listen to me, please. I have things that need to be said. I'm not being listened to. Please listen to me. Please listen to my kids.
Ma'am, I've listened to you ad nauseum for more hearings than I care to hear about again. I'm removing you from the
children will
courtroom.
not get in the car. My children will.
So what I, Your Honor,
If she does not produce the children, I want you to file a motion for an order to show cause. It'll come right in front of me, and I'll deal with her then.
what's that called? Motion what?
Motion for order to show cause for denial of parenting time.
Or will she be in contempt?
Yes.
It's contempt now. for this crap.
She is, and she'll be in a lot worse trouble if she doesn't follow this order. Okay?
Your Honor, is she gonna have to serve that time that you've already told her that she's going to?
She may very well have to, but not from this order. We'll see how she responds to this. My main concern is getting your children back to you, sir.
Well, it's enabling her, it's like, she's gonna keep doing it because there's no repercussion. She keeps getting warned and warned and warned and warned.
Well, we'll see what
Nothing ever
happens, sir.
happens.
Just follow through with what I just told you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next up. Hillard versus Relia? Can
you hear me? Can you hear me?
You are Lindsay, you are
Yes,
Lindsay Hillard?
correct. Yeah,
Okay, and sir, what is your name?
Douglas Relia.
Okay. And let's see, what do we have here? Mr. Relia has filed a parenting time complaint. Covering a total of 56 days during the period from March 21 through May 31. Okay, and sir, have you been getting your parenting time after, looks like the last incident was something on June 14th. Since then, have you been getting your parenting time?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so it looks like, according to your complaint, the reason that the parenting time was denied was because of the COVID-19 outbreak.
Yes, and I have a couple text messages confirming that that came from Miss Hillard as well, that she was not going to let me see the kids due in part to the COVID-19.
All right, well, she's nodding her head like she agrees to that.
Okay.
Kim, let me ask you, I'm surprised I didn't get more of these.
I know.
During
I
the
am too.
period of COVID. What was your understanding? I mean, was the front of the court offering direction to people?
Yeah, we had some direction from SCAO that said it stays the course, they continue to follow the orders as they're stated.
That COVID was not an excuse for denying
Correct.
parenting time.
Yes, that's what our clients were directed.
Was there ever a period of time when that was not the case?
No.
Ma'am, were there any unique concerns here other than the general concerns over COVID?
Nope. And then since then, I've allowed or per se, went back to the normal parenting time. And then the kids have been staying the night with his parents so that he could have that extra time if need be. And so
All right.
like he'll either ask if they can stay the night, or I'll say they'd like to stay the night, can they? And he would ask his parents and go from there, of course. And that's on the weekends that are supposed to be his weekend.
All right, well, when I have parenting time denials, the normal remedy is to make up the lost parenting time. I'm inclined to make up the lost parenting time here. I'm trying to figure out a good way to do that. It looks like, according to your notes, sir, you were denied a total of 56 days?
Yeah, that was, during the whole period of COVID. And then the incident that happened on June 14th was an arrangement that her and I had made to pick up my children that, again, I was denied that particular day. I had seen them the Saturday before. So that first weekend that I had my kids after the quarantine was lifted, I only got them for half of the parenting time as well. So I don't know how we can handle that one.
Well, how about if we say 57 days?
That works for me, Your Honor.
Have you gotten extra days since those 57 days were denied?
No, sir. And the time that she's stating that she let the children stay over to my parents' house was more of a convenience for her. There was something going on that she needed to have the children stay the night. That wasn't something that I initially asked for. It was given to me as a courteous because it was inconveniencing her to have the children. So the
children spent the time with your parents, not with you?
Correct. And that would be roughly from 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock. I think there was only twice recently that they did stay the night with me, but yeah, it's with my parents, not me.
With your parents, not with you?
Correct, Your
And
Honor.
I assume, ma'am, they like to spend time with their grandparents?
Absolutely.
And sometimes, yeah, I was asking her. Her.
Yes, that's correct. Yep, I always ask them, do you want to stay at Nana and Papa's? If they say no, I don't make them. If they say yes, I ask him, or we'll sometimes just call them directly and say, can you stay? Because they want to see them. They don't get to see them as often as they used to back in the day, and they have that option. So of course, if they say no, I just keep them, and if they say yes, then of course.
All right, well, I am going to order 57 makeup days. Are you folks able to work out how those days are going to be made up?
To be honest with you, Your Honor, no. I would like something set in stone. In recent, in light of the recent situations and everything that's gone on, I would like something set in stone prior to getting off the phone, because I've gone to every extent that I could to get my children from this young lady. That even includes calling the police and making a huge scene in front of my children, unfortunately, at their expense, because she denied me my parenting time when I was supposed to be giving the parenting time according to the orders. So I would like something set in stone if that's at all possible. Maybe I get them every other weekend, maybe, and I don't want to completely take the weekends from Miss Hillard as well. Maybe put in an extra weekend until I can make those days up a month. So instead of every other weekend, maybe having 3 weekends a month until I make up that time.
Em, is that something you could live with?
Unfortunately, his schedule doesn't always appear as it is, and he has to work sometimes at 2:30 each time, so he can't keep them even on his normal weekend days. And that's why their kids had spent time with their grandparents as well, because I also have a job that I'm actually currently at and I also make plans whether or not it's a convenience to me for them to stay. So he doesn't always be able to make those times.
I get that. Let me inquire. So, sir, on days when you do have to go to work, are your parents always able to cover the remainder of your time so that Ms. Hillard isn't having her schedule disrupted because you can't keep your schedule?
No, that is correct. I don't have those particular text messages in front of me, and I wish I did. I can probably actually find a couple mixed in here. Well, I have asked for my parents to be able to keep my kids and then possibly meet Miss Hillard, so that they can actually see my kids, because they don't get to see their grandkids but maybe twice a month, if that. So no, there has been numerous times that I have asked Miss Hillard for that to be a possibility for them to watch them for the remaining of the time, and she continuously denies me that as well. That is the reason why I want something set in stone. As far as me working,
Hold on. Hold on. Don't get too far ahead of me here.
Sorry.
What I'm saying is, if I order an extra weekend a month until this time is made up, on the days that you cannot keep the kids, it will be your responsibility to arrange for their care so that it does not impose on Ms. Hillard. Do you understand that?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I can make arrangements. If Miss Hillard has situations, and we've done that, arrangements can be made, but there's too many times where the arrangements won't go forth on hers. But if that is what you want to set, sir, I'm completely fine with that.
I'm not sure you're understanding me. What I'm saying is, when I ordered the children to be with you during a certain time, you can't say to Ms. Hillard, hey, can you take them? I'm working, or I've got this going, or I've got that going. Don't even ask her. You make alternative arrangements.
That's been another situation. That's been another situation as well, Your Honor, because I have a right to refusal clause in the custody order, and I have been told by Miss Hillard many times, and actually the judge that I've seen at the FOC office many times, that she has the right to deny that to me, even if it is my grandparents, and she exercises that many times. That's I don't have a problem having my parents watch them. She's the one who has the issue with it, Your Honor.
I am going to lift that requirement for purposes of making up all of this parenting time.
Okay.
So you're going to get an extra weekend a month, and you must take your time. You must.
Thank you.
You can't drop the kids back at Miss Hillard without her approval or consent. It's your responsibility, whether it's you or whether it's your parents. Now, what I don't want to have happen is that your parents are exercising all the parenting time. If that's what's happening, Ms. Hillard can file a motion to modify parenting time, and I'll take some away from you. I don't have a problem with you making alternative arrangements with your parents to watch the kids during your time, until all of this parenting time is made up.
That's all I've ever wanted. I will make the arrangements and make do with what I have to do to see my kids and allow my family to see us, sir. I'll make the arrangements.
All right, so three weekends a month until the 57 days are made up.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
And then he still just has to let me know who has them, and then he's either dropping them off or they are. Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. You should each let the other know if someone else other than you is watching the kids. Yep. That's just common courtesy. Each parent deserves to know where the children are.
Right.
Okay, we'll get an order prepared and get it out to you very shortly.
Thank you, Your Honor.
In the mail? Okay.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Okay, thanks.
So before we go off the record, I see there's another file here. Garner versus Garner?
That's the other one that was scheduled. I'll take that.
Oh, okay.
Two last week.
Yeah, okay.
And they were moved to the 8th.
All right, and
October 8th.
You can take us off the record, Shannon.
We got notification that he wasn't available.